Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be looking at the aftermath of the fire that ripped through Kantamanto Market in Accra, Ghana on January 2nd.
Yeah,
And our main source for this is an article from Travel Noir called Devastating Fire Engulfs Kantamanto Market in Accra, Ghana.
right.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, another market fire, tragic, but what's the big deal? Well, this isn't just about a fire.
Yeah,
It's about the human impact on a vibrant commercial hub and the ripple effects it could have on Accra's economy.
yeah, absolutely. Kantamanto isn't just any market. It's one of Accra's largest, a true cornerstone of its informal economy.
Right.
And these markets are the lifeblood of so many communities, you know, providing goods, services, livelihoods for countless people.
Mhm.
The scale of this fire impacting over 100 shops and causing millions of cedis in damage
Wow.
has the potential to send shockwaves through Accra's economic ecosystem.
The article mentions that the fire started in the early hours of the morning around 1:19 a.m. local time and paints a really vivid picture of the chaos with the electricity company of Ghana having to cut power to the area
Yeah.
as firefighters battled the blaze. And sadly, even with their efforts, the fire spread to nearby structures, including a bank building.
This really underscores the challenges of fire safety in densely packed urban environments.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
in developing economies,
hmm
often these markets evolve organically without the same level of fire safety infrastructure
Yeah.
or regulations we might see in more developed cities.
And the article really doesn't shy away from the personal stories of those affected.
No,
It highlights the plight of Joshua Teta, a trader who lost everything in the fire.
everything.
His entire stock, his wife's stock, everything they had worked for.
Oh my goodness.
He even talks about taking out a loan to invest in the business, and now he's facing this daunting task of rebuilding from scratch.
Stories like Joshua's are heartbreaking, but sadly not uncommon in these situations.
Yeah.
Many traders in developing economies operate without insurance, making the road to recovery even more difficult.
Right.
The emotional toll on these individuals, coupled with the financial burden, can be overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. The Travel Noir article also mentions that some traders suspect arson,
Oh, wow.
which adds another layer of complexity to this whole tragedy.
Yeah.
While the Ghana National Fire Service is still investigating the official cause, it makes you wonder about the vulnerability of these markets and the potential risks they face.
It's crucial to consider the wider context here in many developing countries. Rapid urbanization and limited resources
Right.
create a perfect storm for fire hazards. Issues like overcrowding, inadequate electrical systems,
Yeah.
and even the storage of flammable materials all play a role.
So it's not just about this one fire, it's
Right.
about understanding the systemic challenges that contribute to these events and exploring what can be done to mitigate these risks.
And that's where things get really interesting. How can we balance the need for bustling marketplaces, which are so vital to economic growth, with ensuring the safety and security of traders and their livelihoods? That's the question we'll be grappling with as we delve deeper into this issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. We've talked about the devastating impact of this fire and the challenges facing Kantamanto Market, but I'm curious what happens next. How do we move from understanding the problem to actually finding solutions?
That's the million-seedy question, isn't it? The path forward involves a multifaceted approach addressing both the immediate needs of those affected and the long-term systemic issues that contribute to these tragedies.
So let's start with the immediate aftermath. What kind of support is needed to help traders like Joshua Teta rebuild their lives and livelihoods?
In the short term, it's about providing emergency relief, things like temporary shelter, food assistance, and medical care for those who may have been injured. But beyond that, it's about helping traders get back on their feet economically.
I imagine that means financial assistance.
Yes, access to microloans and grants can be crucial, especially for traders who lost their entire inventory and working capital. There's also a role for government agencies and NGOs to provide business development support, helping traders navigate the process of rebuilding and accessing resources.
It sounds like a lot of moving pieces. Is there any precedent for this kind of recovery effort in Ghana or other developing countries?
Absolutely. We've seen similar responses to market fires in places like Nigeria and Kenya. One interesting example is the Makola market fire in Accra back in 2013 following that incident. The government, in partnership with several NGOs, established a relief fund and provided business training to affected traders.
So there's a framework at least, but I'm curious about the long-term solutions. How do we address the underlying issues that make these markets so vulnerable to fire in the first place?
That's where we need to shift our focus from reaction to prevention. A key area is infrastructure improvement, modernizing electrical systems, incorporating fire-resistant building materials, and ensuring proper ventilation can dramatically reduce fire risks.
It sounds like a complete overhaul, but wouldn't that be incredibly expensive, especially for a market like Kantamanto, which is already so established?
It's true that retrofitting existing structures can be costly. But remember, the cost of inaction is often far greater, and there are ways to approach this strategically. For example, prioritizing improvements in the most vulnerable areas, phasing in changes over time, and exploring innovative low-cost solutions can make a difference.
What about the role of technology? Could things like early warning systems or smart sensors play a part in preventing fires?
That's an area with huge potential. We're seeing advancements in fire detection technology that could be adapted for these environments. Imagine sensors that detect smoke or heat buildup and trigger alarms, or even activate sprinkler systems. Automatically, these innovations could be game changers, but of course they require investment and careful integration into existing systems.
It feels like we're talking about a long-term vision here, not just a quick fix.
You're absolutely right. Building true resilience takes time commitment and collaborative effort. It's not just about putting out fires, it's about creating a culture of safety and preparedness.
And what about the role of education? Can we empower traders themselves to be more proactive about fire safety?
Education is fundamental. Providing training on fire prevention, proper storage of flammable materials, and the use of fire safety equipment can be incredibly effective. We also need to encourage community-based initiatives like establishing fire brigades and conducting regular fire drills.
So it's about empowering individuals, communities, and governments to work together towards a common goal. It's a complex challenge, but it sounds like there are concrete steps that can be taken, but I'm still wondering about the broader picture. How does this fire in Kantamanto Market connect to the larger global conversation about development and sustainability?
That's a great question. This event serves as a microcosm of the challenges faced by many developing countries striving for economic growth while grappling with issues like poverty, rapid urbanization, and limited resources. The fire in Kantamanto is a stark reminder that sustainable development can't be achieved without prioritizing safety and resilience.
We've talked about the immediate relief efforts and the long-term solutions for preventing these fires, but it feels like there's a bigger picture here, right? How does this connect to the global conversation about sustainable development?
You've hit on a crucial point. The Kantamanto fire isn't just a local tragedy. It's a stark reminder of the challenges faced by so many developing countries.
Right.
They're striving for economic growth while grappling with issues like poverty, rapid urbanization, and often limited resources.
Yeah.
This event underscores that sustainable development can't be achieved without prioritizing safety and resilience.
So what does that look like in practice? How do we translate these big ideas about sustainable development into concrete actions?
It starts with a shift in mindset.
Yep.
We need to move beyond simply reacting to disasters and start proactively investing in prevention and preparedness.
Right.
That means allocating resources for infrastructure upgrades, fire safety training, and community-based initiatives.
But these investments can be costly. How can developing countries balance these needs with other pressing priorities?
That's where international collaboration becomes essential.
Yeah.
Organizations like the World Bank, the UN, and various NGOs can play a vital role by providing financial assistance, technical expertise, and policy support.
Okay.
There's also a growing movement towards impact investing, where private sector funds are directed towards projects that generate both social and financial returns.
So it's not just about aid, it's about fostering sustainable partnerships
Yeah.
that empower communities to take ownership of their own development.
Precisely. And it's about recognizing that all these issues are interconnected.
Yeah.
For example, investing in fire safety can have ripple effects on public health, economic growth, and even gender equality.
Oh.
When markets are safer, women traders, who often make up a large portion of these informal economies, are better able to participate and thrive.
It's amazing to think about how something as simple as fire prevention can have such far-reaching impacts. But I'm still wondering about the role of individuals, you know?
Yeah.
What can people like our listeners who may not be directly involved do to contribute?
Awareness is a powerful first step.
Okay.
Sharing stories like this, supporting organizations working on fire safety and disaster relief, and even just educating yourself about these issues can make a difference.
All right.
You can also advocate for policy changes that prioritize sustainable development and fire safety.
So even small actions can contribute to a larger movement.
Absolutely. Every little bit counts. Change often starts at the grassroots level.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what is the one key takeaway you want listeners to walk away with?
I want listeners to understand that the Kantamanto Market fire, while tragic, is a wake-up call. It highlights the urgent need for a global shift towards proactive and sustainable development. We have the knowledge, the resources, and the collective will to create a world where these tragedies become less frequent and their impact less devastating. It's a challenge, but it's one we can overcome if we work together.
It's a powerful message of hope and action. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us today and for shedding light on this important issue.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the aftermath of the Kantamanto Market fire. We encourage you to continue learning, engage in conversations, and be a part of the solution. Remember, every action, no matter how small, can contribute to a safer and more resilient future.